Well, here we are at Max Guitar, guys, and very warm welcome to Matthew Kennedy and, of course, Carmen Cortez, who is an all-time favorite of ours. Both have very important positions at the Martin factory, or at the Martin Corporation, I would say. But Matthew is quite new, and he is the new member of Martin's board of directors, including Chris Martin. 6 people are on that board, so you could say he's quite a big shot at quite a young age. So you, Matthew Kennedy, you're now touring Europe or the world, I'm not sure, and you get to know some of the dealers, the customers. Do you feel it's quite a different? So 2 questions. Do you feel it's quite different than the States? And how do you like your tour so far?
Sure. So the tour through Europe has been wonderful so far. I mean, to your point, meeting with dealers, meeting with consumers, there are certainly differences, a lot of cultural differences, just the way that the sales happen and the discussions occur around instruments. But, you know, we're all human, so we all share a lot of similarities. You know, my experience with coming into the stores has been, it's such a wonderful representation of our brand. That really has exceeded my expectations, especially here at Max Guitars. It's just such a wonderful collaboration between us and such a reputable dealer.
Yeah, because you know, we talked about with Carmen and other people some years ago already about the Martin room, or Martin rooms in this case. But I think we found a perfect match of, you know, modern versus the history of Martin, which is of course 180 years already, the oldest, largest company making acoustic guitars. So the second question is, you're officially now, as I said, Martin board member. You are the representative of the Martin family, although your name is Kennedy. Maybe you can shed some light on that. It seems a big honor, and what does that mean to you personally, and what will you do for the brand on a daily basis?
Sure, it is an honor. You know, and I've been with Martin now for 10 years. I've worked in really a lot of different departments and different areas, including manufacturing, distribution, and now I'm in sales. So having an understanding of the entire business and our needs is really important to me. So what I'm going to be doing, I think, on a daily basis is continuing to grow my skill set and my knowledge of the business, while still maintaining what's important to the family as well as to our historical legacy.
Okay. And what does that practically mean? I mean, is that public relations like this, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I think that I'm in a unique opportunity that I get to do both sides of it. I get to be involved in manufacturing and the day-to-day operations, but I also get to be a representative of the brand and my family to, you know, come out to different countries to meet different dealers. And really, we're a global company, so maintaining a global perspective is important to the future.
Okay, and then you've been actively involved in the Martin Charitable Foundation. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, and what is your role in that, and what does the foundation actually do?
Sure. So the foundation was established in 1996. It was really created by my Aunt Diane and my Uncle Chris. They were both very interested in charitable giving and philanthropy work. So the charitable organization makes significant grants every year to a bunch of different nonprofit organizations, some domestic, some very close to Martin, and others across the country. So what I do on the board of directors for the Charitable Foundation is help determine where the money is going to go to support different causes. The foundation focuses on humanitarian needs, so you know, food and shelter support. We also focus on environmental protection. We also focus on education, arts, and music education and preservation.
So you're actually giving money and not guitars to, or maybe sometimes you do give guitars. Is that the case?
Yeah, the foundation exclusively provides monetary grants, but we also have an internal donations committee within Martin, and that committee provides instruments, sometimes to schools, sometimes to other organizations where we donate ukuleles or little Martins for music education programs.
Nice, nice. Must be a very nice job actually to give more than you get. Okay, so 3 questions in one. If you wouldn't mind answering those, we would like to know more about yourself. Because since you're the face of Martin now, could you tell a little bit about yourself and, for instance, what's your relationship to the guitar, and are you a player?
Yep. So I think I would say that I'm more on the technical side of guitars. I love to woodwork. I love to metalwork. I'm capable of building guitars. I'm very familiar with our entire manufacturing operation. So I love, even when we come to the shops, I'm always looking at guitars, checking everything out to make sure that it's what my expectations are for how we build our product. Music's always been a huge part in my life, especially with my family. So I'm confident that we're building some of the highest quality instruments that we really ever have.
Well, I can contest that. I mean, they're amazing, especially the guitars behind you. It's just a class by itself, really. The 5th question is something that maybe Carmen can also assist, because Carmen and I have been talking about that extensively before. So how do you see Martin moving forward in the 21st century? In other words, how do you see Martin's future? And then more in a traditional sense, like it has always been, like the D18, D28, etc., or more on the path you started with the SC13, which was, in my opinion, really a progressive guitar. I mean, not just by looking at it, because it's quite almost an offset guitar, but it's technically superior to a lot of other brands out there. So that's what I would like to know.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Sure. You had asked a question before, with Matthew coming on board, what does that mean? What it means, Robbert, is we have Chris Martin's legacy, his tremendous amount of knowledge and success over the years, paired with Matthew, who will certainly take us into the future. And I'm very comfortable that this will mean that customers are going to get, some of the greatest Martin guitars, and we will continue to deliver that. I think that's what you're going to see from us. It will be in the form of leveraging our incredible history. We know that our guitars have made the boldest statement in terms of vintage guitars. And to your point before, it also means the SC13, and we will continue to innovate and react to what guitar players want from us. Both Matthew and I are very technical. We've worked our way up through the ranks of the company, whether it's production, jigs and fixtures, tooling. We understand how guitars are built, and that's what the future is going to be for us.
Okay.
And I'm excited for it. I think a lot of people should be. It's going to be a ride. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I think the SC13 was received well. In the beginning, people had some doubts, but I think if you would make more of these, and obviously you will make more of these kind of models, I think they will be received very well.
And we appreciate customers, holding us to that standard. When we do come out with something new and innovation, our customers are very, particular with us, and they want to make sure that we're going the right way. And we take that very seriously. So if we do something like that, I promise you, there is a ton of work. Feedback from you and your store is key to helping us develop this. You're just as knowledgeable in these things as we are, and your input's very valuable.
I'm not sure about that, but anyway.
It is, I promise.
I do my best. Okay, so question 6 is the installation of 2 Martin rooms in our store, together with the limitation of the number of Martin dealers in Europe. You could tell us something about that. Have boosted our sales tremendously in the last 2 years, I would say. The demand is growing quite spectacularly, which you wouldn't expect from a traditional guitar company. But actually, this is what is happening all across the board. It also improved the relationship with our customers because of the larger and more consistent stock, and improved service, and also our relationship with the Martin distributor. As I said, it's there's no better thing when you're a salesman to sell something for someone who you like, if you understand what I'm saying. So if you don't like the person who is selling it to you, you might, at least I am not so very interested. But when the relationship is like that, that when you ask something of someone like your representatives that are also there, then it's very nice to see that it actually gets done. And this is rare nowadays, I can tell you. So there is this sense of mutual goal, as it were, and we feel the dedication. This is not just blah blah. This is really what we feel. So for a logical next step, we would suggesting organizing more events. So the first one will be held on Saturday, the 15th of October of 2022. For the people who see this video, so maybe Martin could provide us with the opportunity of appointing endorsees and ordering Max Guitar exclusive runs more than we have done. So maybe the odd giveaway, or do you think that would be the way to go in a how do you say, promotional sense? Because so far we think that is one of the few areas that has been lacking, not so much from the distributor, but as a program, so to speak.
Yeah. So I think part of your last question too, what are we going to be doing to move into the future? I don't really see us never or stopping building D28s. It's part of our heritage. It's part of our legacy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's what we're known for, and it's what we do phenomenally well. But we still have to be engaged with the consumer, especially with introducing the SC platform. I think that was, of course, there's going to be doubts with a new product from such a traditional company, but that new excitement and that innovation is also going to be important to us moving into the future. In addition to that, consumer engagement, getting people into the store, getting them excited about our product, getting them to be more part of the life cycle with what we're doing here is going to be paramount for success for both dealers and for us as well. So, to the idea of more in-store events, that engagement, that consumer engagement is so important to me. So, I think that those are just wonderful ideas. There's obviously a change in marketing and social media presence that without those types of opportunities and without that engagement, you're really going to miss out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So for instance, endorsees or endorsers, how you want to name them, I think that's quite an important part of this promotion. And of course, you're not lacking in endorsees in America because everyone from Clapton to Bob Dylan to name them, they are playing Martin. So that is not a problem. But sometimes I think we would benefit a lot from local endorsers here in Europe. But that's something to be discussed, I would say. Do you agree?
Sure. And being on the board of directors, obviously I can't give too much details, but that type of consumer engagement and marketing, not just within the US, but internationally, is something that we discuss often.
Good. So consider this your first usable piece of feedback. Okay, so question 7 is, these years come with a lot of challenges in the sense of rising shipping costs, but more importantly, shortages of raw materials and tone woods that become more rare and scarce. So how is Martin coping with these challenges, do you think? Maybe a question for both of you.
Yeah, I think that it's something that we're always cognizant of. We've been producing the HPL guitars for decades now. We're always in front of different regulations for when they're putting different species onto CITES. I think that we have always been in the forefront of that and understanding, the limited availability of the resources that we use. So we're always exploring other opportunities, other types of woods, making sure that the limited resources we're using are being used as effectively as possible.
Yeah, okay.
If I can add to that has been the message for so many years from CFM the fourth. And your comment about the SC lineup also kind of applies to the X series guitars, which was not an easy sell for a historic company like Martin Guitars, but Chris's perspective was, we are going to deal with alternate materials and we are going to be the best at dealing with them because someday we are going to have to do that. And I think in some cases we are encountering some of those material issues and we have the experience, our coworkers are ready to do this, and those guitars will be spectacular because of that foresight. So we do owe that to CFM the fourth.
Yeah, cool.
And I think that, one thing that I really try to convey, especially at the board level, is that sustainability for us isn't just a concept. It has to be a mentality.
Exactly.
We have to be thinking about the future. We have to be thinking about the next, what is the business, what is the manufacturing aspect going to be like when Chris's daughter is going to be at the age of being involved with the business. So those are the types of things that we are always thinking about, especially further into the future.
Yeah, but do
And I
you
also think,
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I also think, Robbert, the sustainability message, it's important that we work with dealers like Max Guitars who can resonate that message to our customers. That is extremely important to us. I think the materials I see in the showroom here, I think do a great job not only educating the customer on why it's important, but also why it's important to Martin Guitar. And I think that's going to be something we really want to focus. And we thank you and your staff at Max Guitars for helping us get that message to our customers.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, so question 8. One more thing about, are you experiencing difficulties in getting some kind of material? Or, for instance, you see a tendency when it comes to ebony, for instance, to use more clouded ebony like other companies are doing. Are you in favor of that, or are you of the purist approach?
I think, the future thought and making the best out of the resources we have, those types of changes are just going to be inevitable. There's no structural differences in the wood. They still build fantastic instruments, fantastic sounding guitars. Considering how we look at sustainability and how we look at the resources that we use what's available to us, especially materials that are sustainable or ethically harvested. The changes that are going to happen in the aesthetic point, especially with the ebony, are going to be industry-wide. So I think that those are just types of challenges and changes that are going to happen no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite obvious. Okay, so question 8, we're almost there. We have 10 questions. So Martin's new CEO is Thomas Ripsam. He's German, I think, like Chris Martin the First. And he's let's say he's a corporate growth strategist, which sounds horrible to somebody like me, but obviously necessary for growth, for the company's growth. What do you think he will bring to the company, and how is it different to what Chris Martin the Fourth did before?
One of the big differences, I think Thomas is going to bring a real idea about consumer engagement and elevating that. A lot of his background was in consumer products, understanding the market, understanding the consumer's need, and the importance for communication between our organization and our customers. I think Thomas is really going to help to elevate the importance of those strategies. Back to your question earlier, how does Martin move into the future? I think Thomas is going to be able to help us move into the future because he has that consumer-focused mentality and that engagement within the store, within social media. I think that's really how we move into the future, and I think that's what Thomas is going to be able to really help us with.
Okay, because I saw similar strategies with other big guitar companies, which weren't always favorable. It became more corporate and less customer and dealer friendly, but when I understand your setup with the board and the CEO, I think the board will have a large say in all of this, no?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I should hope it will give you some comfort. Chris Martin's still the executive chairman. I'm serving on the board, and I have so many shared values with Chris and what it means for our relationships between dealers and our entire network is so important. I don't think Thomas is coming in with the mentality that we're just going to grow as fast as we can at whatever cost.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the process or where we're going to move into the future, especially because of what's important to Chris Martin and what's important to me.
Yeah, and I understand he's also a guitar builder, no? He's a luthier, more or less.
He wouldn't mind me saying this, but he's a total guitar nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. I understood that he and his wife had some sort of arrangement about whenever he bought a guitar, she could travel wherever she wanted, something like that. Anyway, won't go into that.
I'm guessing they've been doing some decent traveling.
Yeah, I don't want to disturb any relationships with my customers and their wives. Okay,
Of
so
course.
9 for me is a very important question.
Robert, can I just add something
Sorry?
about Thomas? Because I thought you brought up a fantastic point about some executives coming in from outside the MI, and that has not been successful in the past, as we all know. Be rest assured that the entire company, I don't care if you were a board of director member or a janitor at the company, everybody was nervous about that because we all know. So just be reassured that that was a very important thing in making a decision to bring Thomas in. And Thomas has been very successful at connecting with our workforce,
Okay.
making them understand what exactly they do and how they impact our company, our customers, and the world through music. And that was very refreshing to see him come in and do that. And that gives me a lot of confidence, again, that with the addition of Matthew coming in and Thomas, that you can expect some really cool guitars coming from us.
Okay,
So
well, nice.
exciting.
Okay. So back to my questions. 9 is a very important question to me. So Martin has always been a very American company. I mean, like it couldn't get more American like that, in a good sense, yeah, so to speak. So sometimes somewhat conservative, I would say, and we spoke about that too before. And with a strong urge to cater to the American customers first and foremost, which is logical because it's an American company, 180 years old. I mean, as I said, it can't get more American than that. So it's a logical result of 190 years, or what is it, 180 years? What is it, 190 years, I think, almost?
Yep,
Yeah.
109 years soon.
Yeah, of business. So, but now with other big guitar companies going direct, you know, like having representatives in all kinds of continents like Europe, Asia. For instance, okay, will you give the foreign market the same attention or more attention and dedication than before? Because I think, without complaining, I could say I could see that there was a slight preference to cater to the American market first. What could you say about that?
Well, Carmen talked to this. This is his
Sure.
wheelhouse, but
I could tell you that Martin has too long of a legacy and a history to abandon a market. It definitely is not anything that we think of, although I could see how it could be attractive to some companies. It's just not part of our long-term strategy. We care about our customers all over the world, and we want to give them access to great guitars. And, you know, we tend to look in the long term about that, and we don't take short-term strategy just to try at the expense of the long term. We've learned at 190 years, we've learned what happens, when you do something like that. It's just not on our planning right now. It doesn't make sense to us.
And just to add, I think that even directly from Chris Martin, that he's always wanted it to be a level playing field, that regardless of your size as a dealer, regardless if you're international or domestic, you should get the same attention because you're important to us as any other dealer. I think that it's easier for us, right, to ship guitars domestically. They get there quicker, especially considering the logistical challenges and cost of distribution internationally. I think that leads to the perception that we're not getting guitars equivalent across the market. But even during COVID, where we, last couple of years, where we knew we would have limited production capabilities, the sales department and team really made a strong effort to make sure that the production we knew we were able to produce was being spread fairly across all markets, domestic and foreign.
Yeah, I know, because that's the time we build our stock in the COVID period. So that I can attest to that. So, but maybe with a local, as I said, local endorser initiative, or maybe local guitar teaching initiative, like for instance Fender is doing, or local environmental or charitable initiatives, would that be something you would consider to have in Europe or Asia or wherever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's going to be part of our strategy and focus going forward is exactly what you said. How do we get connected better with the customers in the local markets? And it's exactly what you said before. Those are the channels and the conduit as we say in English, to really get out there
Yeah,
and spread the message, because we have a lot to talk about at Martin
exactly.
Guitars.
Exactly.
You know, we sell, you know, without a doubt, the most prestigious acoustic guitars in the world.
Yeah,
Take a look at what some of our guitars have sold for at auctions and the tremendous story and the impact that we've had on music. I mean, your shop tells the story from MTV Unplugged to Crosby, Stills and Nash to Elvis. That's quite a
yeah,
broad scope, and
yeah.
we
Just
want
to name
to
three of
also
thousands.
engage
Yeah,
the local artists.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, that's my point. It's not just about the stars, but getting some of the people that need the guitar for a lot of things. And I think our guitars played a big part in the pandemic. You know,
exactly.
everybody had to go to work on a computer screen. Everybody had to stay home. Everybody was watching a screen most of the time. And I think guitars really played a good, healthy part in a very difficult time. And it's what we're doing. And
Yeah.
we're going to continue to go those channels to get to people, no matter how or what they play.
And back to my earlier point, the consumer engagement is so important, right? Because what speaks to somebody in Europe isn't necessarily going to be the same thing that speaks to somebody in the United States. So the more that we can have direct engagement with consumers and meaningful engagement to really connect them to the brand, get them educated and interested in music, and especially within our instruments, is the path that we have to take forward.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
And we take your input very seriously. I mean, your input is a big driver, especially at Max Guitars. I think you have a good pulse on the market, and we want
Well, we
to take
try,
advantage.
we try. We don't always succeed, but that's life. So I know we have a lot to talk about. This is already the last question, because otherwise it's gonna be a very long video. So to conclude the 10 questions is to Matthew in this case. What are your personal goals, and where would you like Martin to be in 2033 when Martin will be 200 years of age?
Yeah. So personal goals for me, I'm just completing a master's in business administration. So continuing to grow my skill sets within understanding of business and macroeconomics, as well as my understanding of the business needs, the consumer needs, and how we're going to move into the future. Those are really some of my personal goals. Another big personal goal of mine is to make sure that Chris's legacy and the Martin family's legacy is preserved. What is important to the family, what's important to our organization remains intact well into the future, as well as making sure that the business is what Chris would hope it would be when Claire gets to be involved, if she so chooses.
What age is Claire now?
She just turned 18 years old. So,
Okay.
she's doing what any teenager does, and she's exploring things that are of interest to her. She'll be going to college soon. One of the greatest things that I believe I get to do is if she wants to be interested and involved in the business, that I can be there to guide, knowing that there's a trusted family member that she can rely on for support.
Cool. A true family company. So you're not just another pretty face. When I hear you have a business degree or you're getting a business degree, what kind of degree is that exactly? Economics?
So right now I'm focused in project management, but this is a master's in business administration. My prior education was in computer science. So when I started really working within Martin, I knew I needed to develop business skills as well. So I'm completing a graduate program for business. I also do a lot of leadership training and leadership classes. It's so important to have a strong philosophy on leadership, because I really think that's what gets people excited about what we're doing. It gets excited for how we're going to move into the future. And I obviously want to do my uncle and my family proud with how I help move us into the future.
Cool. Well, I thank you both very much for visiting all the way from the US, and it gives me really another boost of inspiration to sell our products, not just your products. And are you going to other countries after this?
Sure, we're going to head to the UK. Obviously with the pandemic, we weren't able to come over here and travel, so we're trying to hit as many of the most important stores as we can. Obviously, we don't have enough time to do all of them, but we're here at Max Guitars, and as soon as we leave Max, we'll be in the UK for 2 days before we head back to Nazareth, and then we'll start to host some dealers and some folks at the Martin factory. Hopefully next year. You don't know it, Robbert, but we're making plans for you to come visit us in Nazareth, so we can keep our
Have some
business
pancakes and burgers.
Oh, you and I have spent much personal time in Nazareth together, talking about the business and guitars and doing it. And we have to continue to do that.
Yeah,
and we will.
I specifically remember that dinner with your wife. That was
Of course.
amazing. Anyway,
No, we're a family business. We believe in strong relationships with the right partners to serve all of our customers, and that's it.
Super cool, guys. Well, thank you very much, and safe travels.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robbert.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.